Welcome to A Life Remembered. I'm Daniel. In this moment, we come together to honor remarkable souls we've lost. Their brilliance, passion, and influence left a lasting mark on countless lives. Join us as we reflect on their contributions to film, music, and culture, keeping their memories alive for generations to come. Abdul Salam was known in American football as a dependable and hard-working defensive tackle for the New York Jets. Born on August 12, 1953 in New Brockton, Alabama, he later developed his skills at Kent State University, where his talent began to gain recognition. Though he entered the NFL as a seventh-round pick in the 1976 draft, he went on to build a career defined by persistence, discipline, and reliability rather than early expectations. Part of a memorable defensive era, Salam became an important member of the Jets' defensive unit, famously known as the New York Sack Exchange. This group earned a reputation for its aggressive and effective pass rush, helping shape the identity of the team during that period. Standing around 1.9 meters tall and weighing 262 pounds, Salam brought physical strength and consistency to the defensive line. While others may have drawn more headlines, his steady contributions were an essential part of the group's success. Life beyond football. After retiring from professional football, Salam chose a quieter life away from the public spotlight. Like many athletes who transition out of the game, he stepped back from constant attention and focused on life beyond the field. His post-football years reflected a shift from stadium energy to personal privacy and everyday living. A life remembered, Abdul Salam passed away in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the age of 71. The exact cause of his death has not been publicly shared. His passing marks the end of a life connected to a memorable era of football, one where teamwork and defensive strength left a lasting impression on the sport. A legacy of quiet impact. Salam may not have always been the most visible name on the roster, but his role in shaping a strong defensive unit remains part of Jets history. His journey reflects how dedication and consistency can leave a meaningful mark, even without constant spotlight or recognition. Adam Abeshouse was widely respected for his deep connection to music long before he entered the recording world. Born on June 5, 1961, in Westbury, New York, he first trained as a violinist at the Manhattan School of Music. That early experience gave him a strong musical sensitivity, which later became the foundation of his approach to recording. Craft and recognition. Abeshouse built a distinguished career as a recording engineer, especially in the field of classical music. He became known for producing recordings that felt clear, natural, and emotionally rich, capturing not just sound, but expression. His work earned him multiple honors, including 3 Grammy Awards, along with additional nominations and recognition from the Latin Grammy Awards. His reputation came from a rare combination of technical precision and a musician's understanding of tone and feeling, supporting new talent. In 2002, he founded the Classical Recording Foundation, an initiative designed to support emerging classical artists and encourage high-quality recordings. This effort reflected his commitment to nurturing talent and preserving the integrity of classical music in a changing industry. Legacy and memory. Abeshouse passed away at his home in South Salem, New York, at the age of 63. His exact cause of death was not publicly shared. He is remembered for the artists he supported and the lasting recordings that continue to reflect his care, skill, and musical insight. Adam Bryce Lewis, the founding bassist of Phoenix TX, passed away at the age of 45 after a long battle with pancreatic cancer, leaving behind a legacy that resonates deeply with fans of late 90s and early 2000s pop punk. While he often stayed out of the spotlight, his contribution to the band's sound was essential. His bass work helped anchor the fast, melodic energy that defined their music and gave it its driving, emotional pulse. Songs like All My Fault and Threesome reflect the spirit of that era, blending youthful intensity with raw, relatable emotion, and Lewis's playing was a key part of that identity. After his diagnosis in 2021, he faced his illness with resilience, staying connected to music and the community that had grown around the band's work. Though he did not publicly center his journey, those close to him understood the strength and patience it required to endure years of treatment while still holding on to what he loved. Beyond his musicianship, Lewis was remembered as grounded and sincere, someone who valued creativity and connection over attention or fame. His role in shaping Phoenix TX's sound ensured that his influence would continue long after the final notes faded. For many fans, his work remains tied to a defining chapter of pop-punk history, carrying both nostalgia and lasting emotional weight. Bobby Sherman, born July 22, 1943, became one of the defining teen idols of the late 1960s. With his warm voice and easygoing charm, he captured the attention of a generation. Songs like Little Woman and Julie, Do You Love Me made him a regular presence on the radio, turning him into a familiar and beloved name in pop music. Success on screen and stage beyond music, he also built a strong television career. His role in Here Come the Brides helped expand his popularity, showing a natural screen presence that connected easily with audiences. At the peak of his fame, he represented a kind of wholesome celebrity style that resonated deeply with fans of that time. A shift towards service. What makes Bobby Sherman's journey especially unique is the direction his life took after fame. Instead of staying in entertainment, he stepped away from the spotlight and trained as an emergency medical technician. He later served as a deputy sheriff, focusing his energy on helping others in real, practical ways. It was a major life change that reflected a strong sense of purpose and responsibility. A life remembered beyond fame. Bobby Sherman passed away at the age of 81, leaving behind more than just memories of music and television. His story is often remembered for its second act, one defined by service, humility, and reinvention. In the end, his life stands as an example of how identity can evolve far beyond early success, and how meaning can be found in helping others as much as in being remembered. Brian Wilson, born June 20th, 1942, was a groundbreaking American musician and co-founder of the Beach Boys. He played a key role in creating the band's distinctive harmonies and the warm, melodic sound often associated with California's surf culture. His work helped shape the direction of modern pop music. Innovation in music. Wilson's talent for composition and arrangement became clear early in his life. He went on to create some of the most influential recordings in popular music, including Good Vibrations and the critically acclaimed album Pet Sounds. His use of layered harmonies and experimental studio techniques expanded what was possible in pop production and inspired countless artists. Personal journey. Behind his creative success, Wilson experienced personal challenges that affected different stages of his life and career. Despite these difficulties, he continued to reconnect with music over time, returning to perform and create when he was able. His story reflects both artistic brilliance and personal resilience. Legacy. Brian Wilson passed away at the age of 82, leaving behind a vast and influential musical legacy. His songs continue to resonate across generations, shaping genres far beyond his own. He is remembered as an artist whose imagination and emotional depth transformed popular music and left a lasting mark on global culture. Rick Harrison's story doesn't begin with fame or fortune. It begins with instability, illness, and a constant sense of not quite belonging. Born on March 22, 1970 in Lexington, North Carolina, he entered a world that would challenge him early and often. His father, a disciplined Navy officer, believed deeply in endurance and resilience, values that would quietly shape Rick's outlook on life. Because of his father's career, the family moved frequently, forcing Rick to adapt to new schools and unfamiliar faces again and again. Just as he began to settle somewhere, it was time to leave. That repeated disruption made it difficult to form lasting friendships or feel rooted. But the greatest challenge came at age 8, when Rick experienced his first epileptic seizure, an event that would deeply affect his confidence, his education, and the way others perceived him. Learning outside the system. Living with epilepsy in the 1970s meant facing misunderstanding and isolation. At a time when awareness was limited, Rick often felt like an outsider, both socially and academically. School became a struggle, not just because of frequent moves, but because seizures disrupted his concentration and learning. Teachers didn't always know how to support him, and classmates didn't always understand him. Rather than seeking help, Rick turned inward. He began reading extensively, not school textbooks, but books on history, economics, philosophy, and biographies of people who had built something meaningful from nothing. In those pages, he found both escape and education. While others followed structured lessons, Rick created his own path to knowledge. This self-driven learning didn't earn him grades or diplomas, but it built a foundation of curiosity and insight that would later define his success in ways no traditional education could. Choosing a different path. By the time Rick reached his teenage years, his family had settled in Las Vegas, Nevada, a city full of ambition, risk, and opportunity. But traditional schooling still didn't fit him. At 17, he made the decision to drop out of high school. To many, it looked like failure, but for Rick, it was a turning point. a moment where he chose to stop forcing himself into a system that never worked for him. His father didn't respond with anger. Instead, he offered Rick a chance to learn differently, through work. In 1988, his father opened the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop on Las Vegas Boulevard. It wasn't glamorous. It was a small business in a rough area, serving people often in difficult financial situations. Rick stepped behind the counter and began learning, not from books this time, but from real people, real transactions, and real consequences. Lessons from the counter. Working at the pawn shop became Rick's true education. Every item brought into the store carried a story, and every customer represented a negotiation. He learned to read people, understand value, and make decisions quickly. The environment was far from easy. Many customers came in desperate, trying to exchange possessions for quick cash. Rick had to balance empathy with business sense, a skill that required both emotional intelligence and discipline. Over time, he developed a reputation for fairness and honesty, traits that would later become central to his public image. The shop itself struggled in the early years. There were moments when it barely stayed afloat, but Rick didn't rely on luck. He relied on knowledge. He studied coins, antiques, historical artifacts, and collectibles, teaching himself how to identify value others might overlook. Personal struggles and responsibility. While Rick was building his career, his personal life faced its own challenges. He married young, starting a family with hopes of stability and happiness. But the demands of running a struggling business took a toll. Long hours, financial pressure, and constant uncertainty strained the relationship. Eventually, the marriage ended, leaving Rick to navigate both fatherhood and business survival at the same time. He was determined not to repeat the instability he experienced as a child, but balancing everything proved difficult. There were moments of doubt, times when the business seemed close to failure. Still, Rick kept going, driven less by confidence and more by persistence. He continued learning, refining his skills, and slowly building trust within the community. That trust became one of the most valuable assets he would ever have. Building knowledge into success. Rick's approach to business wasn't based on guesswork, it was based on continuous learning. He immersed himself in understanding the items that came through the shop, from rare coins to historical memorabilia. This deep knowledge allowed him to negotiate with confidence and accuracy. Customers began to recognize his expertise, and the shop started attracting a wider range of clientele, including collectors and enthusiasts. What began as a small, struggling business gradually grew into something more stable. Rick also remarried and expanded his family, finding periods of greater personal balance. But even during calmer times, the demands of the business never fully eased. The shop required constant attention, and Rick often found himself torn between professional ambition and personal responsibilities. It was a trade-off he didn't always fully understand at the time. A turning point with television. Everything changed in 2009 when the History Channel launched Pawn Stars. The show brought cameras into the gold and silver pawn shop, introducing Rick and his family to a global audience. What made the show stand out wasn't drama or spectacle, it was authenticity. Rick wasn't acting, he was simply doing what he had always done. His knowledge, negotiation skills, and straightforward personality resonated with viewers. The show quickly became a massive success, drawing millions of viewers and turning the pawn shop into a well-known destination. For Rick, it was both an opportunity and a challenge. Fame brought recognition and financial success, but it also changed the nature of the business. Filming schedules, public attention, and increased expectations added new layers of complexity to his daily life. Fame and its complications. With success came scrutiny. As Pawn Stars grew in popularity, so did public curiosity and criticism. Some questioned the authenticity of the deals, while others analyzed every interaction shown on screen. Rick handled it the same way he handled business, with patience and confidence. Still, the constant attention wasn't always easy. The line between his real life and his television persona began to blur. The shop, once a place of straightforward transactions, became a tourist attraction. While the success brought financial stability, it also introduced pressures that hadn't existed before. Rick had to adapt once again, managing not just a business, but a brand. Despite these challenges, he remained grounded in the same principles that had guided him from the beginning: knowledge, honesty, and persistence, family, time, and reflection. As Rick's career flourished, he began reflecting more on his role as a father and partner. His children had grown up during the busiest years of his life, often seeing him more as a provider than a presence. He acknowledged that balancing ambition and family had been difficult and not always successful. Relationships evolved, sometimes strained by the very success he had worked so hard to achieve. Over time, Rick became more open about these challenges, recognizing that building something meaningful often comes with personal sacrifices. He started to value time differently, understanding that certain moments can't be regained. This awareness didn't erase the past, but it shaped how he approached the future, more mindful, more intentional, and more focused on being present. Loss and perspective. Life brought moments that no amount of success could soften. The loss of his father in 2018 marked a significant turning point. His father had been not just a business partner, but a guiding force. That absence was deeply felt. Years later, Rick faced another profound loss with the passing of his son Adam in 2024. It was a moment that shifted his perspective in ways nothing else had. These experiences reminded him that some aspects of life exist beyond control or negotiation. They also reinforced the importance of family, time, and connection. While Rick continued working, those who knew him noticed a change, a quieter, more reflective presence. Success remained part of his life, but it no longer defined it in the same way. A legacy beyond business today, Rick Harrison continues to stand behind the same counter where his journey truly began. The business is successful, the show remains popular, and his name is widely recognized. But his focus has evolved. He speaks more about family, about being present, and about appreciating what cannot be replaced. His story is no longer just about building a business. It's about understanding what that success means. Rick's journey reflects resilience, adaptability, and the complexity of balancing ambition with personal life. He didn't follow a traditional path, but he built something lasting through persistence and self-education. In the end, his legacy is not just the empire he created, but the lessons learned along the way, about value not just in objects, but in time, relationships, and the moments that truly define a life.